Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon here for Tabletop Taproom and Star Frontiers Gamer. We have another product review. It is Adrift by Joseph Mohr and Old School Role Playing. They put out one new Cephus adventure per month, so they're very prolific, and I really do like Joseph's work. This here is the cover of Adrift, and it's available on drive-through for pay what you want for $3 recommended price, and I think it's well worth the $3 to pick this up. And I think there's a great scope for use in any sci-fi role-playing game, whatever you play, whether it is Stars Without Number, Traveler, Cephus Engine, which are essentially the same, Star Frontiers, any D100, White Star, whatever you happen to like. This is a great adventure idea, easily adaptable to any system. But before we get into review, let me just say thank you for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. And don't forget to mash that like, subscribe, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. The travelers awaken to the sound of beeping as the escape pod is drifting through space. Warning alarms indicate that life support is falling. Oxygen and even power will deplete in a matter of hours. A peek out the windows is not encouraging. Space looks like a huge void of nothing. The stars are not recognizable. There are no signs of any shipping, and the nearest worlds look like tiny balls of light from here. The travelers have a terrible headache. The last thing they remember is pirates boarding the Pelican. After a brief firefight, which the free trader stood little chance against the invaders, but put up a gallant fight nevertheless. Captain Hawkins was a brave man before the pirates threw him out the airlock. Then suddenly the lights went out and the travelers woke up here. Now the fun begins. So the setup is that all of the player characters, or just one, you could very much play this as a solo one-on-one adventure, are in one escape pod. There's limited supplies and enough fuel to reach one planet, but the sensors for the escape pod detect 3 inhabitable planets within the inhabitable zone of the star. This gives the players a choice. They have to make a choice. And so your choice is you've got a hot desert world, a frozen world, and a rocky world. It's 3 bears. This one's too hot. This one's too cold. This one's just right. So they get to choose which world they want to try to survive on. The adventure is surviving. There's no payday. There's just you survive. And you're enriched by whatever you happen to find along the way. So that's the setup for the adventure. Now, in typical Cepheus/Traveler fashion, it lays out a list of complications. There's 10 of them. I love that about Traveler adventures. Star Frontiers adventures would do well to copy that format of doing that. The format for each world. So you've got a choice of 3 worlds. You're not going to adventure through all 3 worlds. It's not a dungeon crawl here. You have to choose, and then you take that path. That gives you tremendous replayability for this in the future, obviously. And so, like, say the players choose the hot desert world. You just save that ice world in the back of your pocket, back of your mind for later as a game master. That I need a world for the players to explore. Here, well, let's use this. Boom. If nothing else, you could get this module so that you have 3 worlds, fairly well detailed, for the players to explore in an exploration campaign. So very, very handy. Now, the format for each of these worlds is you get a brief description, you get encounters and events, you get points of interest, you get a discussion of survival, and a map. Let's talk science. You have habitable zones around stars. And my impression is that you can squeeze about 2 orbits into a inhabitable zone. So how many planets could you put there? You could have 2 planets orbiting each other, or a planet and a moon orbiting a barycenter. So you could squeeze in more real estate, sure. And ultimately, we go with hand waving, where we just say it's there because I said so. Reminds me of being a parent, because I said so. And the habitable zones. So this works out because one of the worlds is an ice world, one's a desert world, and then you have the Goldilocks, just right. In the middle is the rocky world. Players must make a choice. And then we adjust gravity up and down. I would say really play around with these worlds a little bit, and make them smaller and bigger, and increase or decrease gravity to suit yourself. Now, where would I put this adventure in Star Frontiers? Star Frontiers is a very canned setting. You could certainly do the Uncharted star system. However, spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil something here. There are ruined cities. There are things to explore on these planets, and they're presented as ruins of human civilization 1,000 years old. Now, things break down and degrade, and you can't use them after a number of years, let alone 1,000 years. So I would say if you're going to use that this is a failed human colony, I'd only make it 10, 20, 30 years old. You'd still find stuff that's usable. But you're not going to find it sitting around for 1,000 years, dig it up, and then really put it to use. It's going in a museum at that point. But I also think you could use this as an alternate setting, an alternate beginning for Crash on Volturnus. Think about it. The setup is pirates. You have a hot world. Volturnus is dominated by desert and burning volcanic lands. Yes, it does have a forest. Yes, it does have farmland for the Enora. But you could hand wave Volturnus as being the hot world. You would then, because the Zebulon system has a second inhabitable world called Anchor, which happens later in the setting to be the location of the University of Zebulon, the source of Zebulon's Guide to the Frontier. The University of Zebulon is the only development of the planet Anchor that we've ever had, and there was really nothing done with it. There's a university there. That's it. So Anchor would qualify, if Volturnus is the hot world, it would qualify as the cold world. Now, what do we do for that third Goldilocks, just right, rocky place? I would say you could grab the Enora egg ship that somehow, as the players are making the decision between the cold world and the hot world, while they're in that escape pod, that the escape pod somehow, magically, luckily, detects the presence of the Enora egg ship, and you could go there. So, yeah, now, with the Enora egg ship, it's not broadcasting its location, or the Sathar would have done something to it. So it's just like the players got lucky, and there should only be very, very limited ability to pilot it. That's all right. So we managed to figure out the controls. Note, this is alien equipment that the players do not understand. So it's -20 to all skill checks, trying to work with this equipment. And now we're also if you're down on Anchor, there would be like an abandoned Enora science station there, possibly. For the ice planet presented here in this module. You have ruined Enora cities on Volturnus that could be found. Pirate installations, obviously, too. So you have all these possibilities, but again, you're going to be hand-waving them as alien ruins now, not human civilization ruins. And so that would be a difference. And you could certainly use this as the setup for an alternate beginning to Crash on Volturnus, which might be more interesting and more fun than the one that was bundled with the Alpha Dawn adventure. If you were looking to run that, it'd be it would have the virtue of everybody knows what's in Crash on Volturnus because it's 40 years old. So now we're presenting it as a new wrinkle, something new, a little bit different, and go. And that is the value to this module Adrift. Let's talk about AI art. I have publicly taken a stand against AI art and a stand for supporting actual human artists. And I realized fairly quickly, I guess I didn't realize fairly quickly, this kind of complicates my life, because if you take this stand, a principled stand, and then some other place, you're not completely following through, somebody might point that out and say, aha, you're a hypocrite, which is okay sometimes, because my favorite line from the movie Tombstone is, my hypocrisy knows no bounds. I just love that line. But anyhow, so I downloaded this and then I went, oh, wait a minute. Did he use AI art? I don't know. So I looked at his photo credits and they're here. And he actually credited where he got it. The crash ship in the desert at the back was public domain. Actually, it's on Pixabay, which is, yeah, they do public domain. He could have credited Pixabay. It would have made it easier to find, but I found it on reverse image lookup. And then I went and clicked on the artist, and he is a 3D artist who also does photo manipulations. So that is not, this picture at the back is not AI art. It's a little distorted because they've changed the dimensions, forced it to fit. It's actually a more landscape photo. They probably could have cropped it and you wouldn't have gotten this distortion that's going on a little bit in the image. But this is not AI art. This is done by a photo manipulator and 3D modeler. And then this image is actually used by another novelist for their novel. And it resides at that Deposit Photos that he credits behind a paywall. The reverse image lookup could not find it behind the paywall, but so I could not really look at the artist too much. But this, I do not believe this to be AI art. Why is that important? Well, it's important because I have taken the stand, and I want to support and promote human artists. And surprisingly, and I know there are people who disagree with me, and let me just say this. My principles that I stand on are for me. And do not take that as me saying you're not as good as me because you're not living with my standards. It's just, no, these are the principles I have chosen to live by. And so I'm standing on it, and I want to be consistent. You are free to do whatever you like. It's a free world. And you are free to do whatever you like. My only wish is that obviously Joseph has chosen to not use AI art. I wish he would put maybe put a logo or a public statement that we don't use AI art, we support human artists. But at the very least, he did put the credits for his art, and I was able to go look those up, and I appreciate that. So I do want to promote old school role playing, because they are not, as far as I've seen, using AI art, that they are one of the good guys. They are supporting real human artists, and I consider that to be important. Props to Joseph Mohr for being one of the good guys, as I view it, that he is supporting real human artists with his work. So this is Tom for Tabletop Tap Room. I'm going to give Adrift by Old School Role Playing and Joseph Mohr a hearty 4 draw the sight thumbs up out of 5. On the basis of the fact the tipping point that put me over to a 4 out of 5 is no AI art. So we're gonna just bump it there. I wasn't sure 4 or 3. We're going 4, just for the fact that Joseph's doing the right, as I see it, doing the right thing. And so I heartily recommend, and the link will be in the show notes, check out Adrift. Check it out for free. It's pay what you want, and then decide, you know what, I'm going to throw $1. I'm going to do the recommended $3 on it. Great adventure, very usable for any RPG system, sci-fi RPG system. So again, thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget that like, subscribe, and bell icon. And I will see you in the frontier.